The day that MMA fans have been waiting for has finally come. Mixed martial arts is finally legal in New York. The assembly in the capital city of Albany voted to legalize the sport on Tuesday. The bill now moves to the desk of Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has expressed his intention to sign it. If everything goes according to plan, the UFC will make its debut at Madison Square Garden in New York City before the end of the year. Here is the reaction of the UFC fighters. UFC bantamweight contender Urijah Faber was recently asked by TMZ Sports about his thoughts on the McGregor VS Diaz rematch. He said that it would be tough for Conor McGregor to beat Nate Diaz in the rematch. He said he's been trying to tell Conor McGregor to work on his Jujitsu, as Nate Diaz is very tough. He said Conor McGregor is a good fighter, but Nate Diaz is more well-rounded and it's a bad matchup for him. The rematch between Conor McGregor vs Nate Diaz is expected to take place at UFC 200. George St. Pierre's coach, Firas Zahabi, said on the MMA Hour that Nate Diaz blew his opportunity to call out George St. Pierre after his victory at UFC 196. His coach said if he did call out GSP, it would have been motivating for him to consider making a comeback right away. Even though a rematch between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz is rumoured for UFC 200, Jose Aldo is still campaigning for a rematch. This is what he posted on his Twitter. The UFC president Dana White said that it was Holly Holm's management's fault that they took the fight with Miesha Tate at UFC 196. He said she could have waited for Ronda Rousey at the end of the year and made a lot more money in the rematch. She recently said on the MMA Hour that she doesn't fight for the money. She fights because she is passionate about it, and it was her decision to fight, not her management's decision, as she wanted to stay busy. According to MMA Mania, she said she would love nothing more to avenge her only loss in her MMA career. She said she doesn't mind working her way back to the title, even if she has to beat Ronda Rousey again. Former UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw isn't happy with the UFC, as they didn't give him a chance to have a rematch with Dominick Cruz to prove that he did win the fight. He said it's not fair that the UFC are making rematches at the moment, with fights that ended with finishes. He recently said on the MMA Hour that Urijah Faber brought him into the Ultimate Fighter as a way for Conor McGregor to bash him for going to a different gym. He said Urijah Faber saying stuff about him is a way of staying relevant in the media. Referee Mark Goddard says that Frank Mir personally thanked him for stopping the fight after he got knocked out by Mark Hunt this past weekend. This is what he posted on his Twitter. UFC broadcaster John Anik says that Conor McGregor should vacate his featherweight title as he doesn't like guys cutting too much weight, and says he'll be able to perform better at 155 pounds or higher. UFC broadcaster Brian Stan says Frank Mir should retire as he has nothing left to prove in the sport. Following his win over Frank Mir, Mark Hunt has moved up to rank 8 in the UFC heavyweight rankings. Following his victory over Hector Lombard, Neil Magny has moved up to rank 7 in the UFC welterweight rankings. HBO Boxing's Jim Lampley says that the UFC will never book an event as big as Manny Pacquiao vs Floyd Mayweather. The Invicta featherweight champion Chris Cyborg recently trained with Manny Pacquiao. UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture saves an entire family from a car crash. Paige Van Zandt makes a debut in Dancing with the Stars. Both Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice both tested positive for steroids at Bellator 149. John Jones and Daniel Cormier are trading shots once again. Rafael dos Anjos asked his fans who would they like to see him fight at UFC 200. Eddie Alvarez responded and said he would like to fight him. And Chris Cyborg has a message for Ronda Rousey. This is what she posted on her Twitter. Thank you for watching this MMA quick update. Stay tuned for more videos from MMA Release. Thank you.